Hey everybody, Steve here. Thank you so much for listening in. This is your daily update. It is right after the market close on Friday, so had a nice Friday, if you will, if you've heard us use that term when markets are up big on Friday. But yeah, we're going to talk about three topics today. First of all, is Elon Musk versus President Trump yesterday, which led to that big sell-off. So we got, you got Trump versus Musk. That's what we're going to talk about, and then the next one we're going to talk about is fast money versus slow money, which can move markets, and that happened yesterday. I wanted to talk to that specifically. And then the last one we're going to talk about the versus is you versus yourself, which is why investing is such a difficult task, is because there's two sides of you for all of us. You have your practical side, and then you have kind of your emotional side, and we'll talk about how that can affect your investing. Before we get started, this financial education presentation, you have to do your own due diligence before acting upon anything here in this presentation. More disclaimer information is available at ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and mine alone. Let's go to the market for today. I'm sharing out our screen there again, this is our Schwab platform that we use. And it's kind of cool whenever you add like when you're driving your car and it, clicks another digit or something like that. Well, with us, for if you look up here, I'll try to highlight it right there in blue. Yeah, so for us as a firm, we went over 100 million with Schwab, and you're like, well, Steve, didn't we celebrate the 100 million mark last year, like October timeframe? It's like, well, yes, we did. That was overall. So this is with Schwab alone, like, stocks and bonds and things that we invest directly through Schwab. The other stuff, we have about another 15 million that's off in 529s, off in private equity deals, off with several different things, right, that are not held on this platform. If we manage your 401k, where we use a third party login to manage it, is not considered, it's not on this platform. So this is just Schwab stuff. So hit that ninth digit on Schwab itself. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, and you can see if you look in the right hand side, if you look over at the value day change, had $1 million day up today. I would say that's great news, but really all we did was walk back yesterday because yesterday was a terrible day. So we're kind of back to even after these two fairly big emotional days. But let's talk about this Trump versus Musk thing. I'm going to go ahead and assume that unless you slept through the entire Thursday yesterday, you kind of know the story. But the whole time while this is going on, and it's summarized here down at the bottom with the exchanges, if you will, and these blue blue headlines. Who knows where this will go? But certainly, it kind of came out of nowhere, right? This was the bromance that was going to fix government, and they seemed to be chummy. And then all of a sudden, shots fired, and there was escalation, and pretty soon it was a pretty awful day. Well, when you think of how markets react to things like that, is that it throws a bunch of uncertainty into the system because there's some pretty awful things being said. And whenever you have that, money tends to move to safety, which money moving to safety means people are selling out of things to go to cash. And when there's more sellers than buyers, markets go down. So I want you to think about whenever you're the big headline tends to move markets down, right? Especially if it's one nobody saw coming. So just expect that in the future, and then think about as we kind of transition to the second topic, the fast money versus slow money. Think about you kind of the long-term objective or the thesis of why you own something, right? If everything you have in our book, if you're with one of us, we can explain to you in 30 seconds or less what the exact thesis is on behind that position. And if we can't explain it, we should probably sell it, right? Because when you're investing, you need to be very, very strategic about exactly what you own and why you own it. So when you have a headline or an exchange like yesterday, the you can think, how does this affect the thesis, or does it affect the thesis? If it doesn't affect the thesis, then you just you stick to your thesis. If it does affect the thesis, like if you own Tesla stock, we don't own Tesla in the book. Some of the advisors may have a few shares with their clients, but me as a whole, very little to no exposure to Tesla. And it may, yeah. If Trump starts going nuclear on Tesla, then it could affect that thesis, right? So, um, that's how you want to view these things. So, Trump and Musk went back and forth, and today it was Trump and Powell, or really Trump talking about Powell, trying to get him to lower interest rates. So I don't know. We Markets don't really care for his Trump style of communication. It tends to be very direct and very public. which has not really been what we've seen before. But today, overall, the markets kind of celebrated the fact that the tiff from yesterday was over, and we're moving beyond that. So for fast money versus slow money, what I kind of wanted to show you here, and this is Grok, I asked for a brief explanation. So if you're using AI, and, this is something I'm starting to use on a daily basis now. And honestly, I think you should too. It is, you can ask questions, and the better the question you ask, if you say briefly, it's going to give you a paragraph or two, right? Or explain it like I'm a fifth grader, that sort of thing. Or simply, if you're on X, you can say, Grok, is this true? When somebody posts something, and it'll tell you whether it's true or not, kind of like a quick Snopes, if you remember that capability. But really, when you look at the idea of fast money, so we had the Circle IPO yesterday, in addition to all this going on. So we had a big high visibility IPO and a lot of the fast money. When you think fast money, that's money that's looking to make a gain for like right now. Think kind of like cash flow money. Like people are making a living off of fast money. If you're a trader, you need to make money week over week. Otherwise, you need to stop trading and get a job, right? That makes you money week over week. So fast money is kind of that short-term goal. So a lot of times, like Bitcoin was on fire, and then the stablecoin thing came out and Circle IPO'd. So you saw Bitcoin take a hit yesterday because a lot of the fast money that was in Bitcoin moved to stablecoins and rode that Circle IPO. And Circle was up again 20+% today too. But that fast money bounces around. So sometimes you can see, something that was, in vogue, it just all of a sudden take a hit out of nowhere. Well, it's not because anything changed with the underlying thesis. It's simply because the money that was in it for the quick gain got it, and they're out, and they're off to the next fast thing. So that's why markets sometimes will not make sense, is because fast money is moving on a daily basis. And then again, your slow money is your long-term investing money. So slow money has a thesis, and the thesis has a reason why you're holding this position, and you want to hold it until that thesis plays out. Fast money needs to find the profit like right now. So that's where it can bounce around, but there's enough fast money out there that it does move markets on a daily basis, which can it be like make it all make sense, right? Well, it's never going to make sense because it is truly a market, and there's plenty of fast money that's moving the market when the slow money is just kind of sitting there looking for that long-term wealth building type gains, which is what most of us are in for. And that's how we invest for you, is the wealth building, not the fast money gain. So last thing I want to talk to you about is, because there were some significant moves yesterday in some of our holdings in the portfolio, Bitcoin and Bitcoin related holdings, excuse me. Some of them took a 5% hit. I took some questions, and, for the most part, and I want your questions, right? If you're concerned, I do want you to reach out. But mostly it's like the answer is going to be the thesis hasn't changed, right? It's just fast money chasing something else, right? So there's, like little paparazzis, right? And they're taking pictures of one star until another star walks in, and then it's bigger and better. And then all the paparazzi leaves and goes somewhere else. Let them do their thing, right? That's not what we're in it for. So there were some concerns yesterday with some of our holdings that took a fairly sizable hit that haven't taken a sizable hit before. And then it would be, well, what's wrong? And the answer is, well, nothing's wrong. So when you think about you versus yourself, well, what we have here is, again, Grok's brief explanation about this. You have your rational self, which is the first side, which is logical, analytical, aims, goals, long-term, steady Eddie decision making. And then you have your emotional self, which emotional self can get the better of any of us. And you can kind of train your way out of it, but you can't eliminate it, right? Everybody's human, so you're going to have some emotional response sometimes. But it's that can drive a short-term mentality, is where your emotions can get the better of you, versus being able to shake off the short term to think long term. And loss aversion is one that you see, you just can't take it anymore. Or yesterday the phone's ringing because some holdings went down. No big deal, but just nothing changed, right? So we need to kind of refocus. Herd mentality, it's kind of like FOMO, right? If you've heard that. Things start going up, so you start chasing things higher. You want to chase things higher. So if you've reached out to one of our advisors here, and we've said, hey, like we said, NVIDIA was too expensive for a long time, and we were right, and it came down to where our price, and now it's one of our holdings. So We just needed a better entry point, right? And things can be hot and be all over TV and X and Reddit and all that stuff, but don't let that change you from your fundamental type analysis of whether it's a good time to enter or not. Overconfidence, again, if you've been in the market for a long time, you've been humbled because you're right a lot, but you're also going to be wrong on things. So again, this is where we get a lot of our first time investors can catch kind of a good run up in the market, and then they think it's easy, and then they think it always goes up, and they lose sight of the fact that it is very much not easy, and markets do not always go up. You always have to have a plan. So that's another thing. And the last one I like is anchoring. We've thought things like the 60/40 portfolio would last forever. And I talked yesterday that it's largely dead. It's been dead for 5 years and things are reorienting. All of finance is kind of reorienting to the Bitcoin, standard, if you will, with strategic reserves and now Bitcoin lending popping up. And it's one thing when a Bitcoin company is doing the lending. It's another thing when JP Morgan says, oh, we're going to do Bitcoin lending too. It's like, okay, well, this is going to start changing the face of lending. So sometimes, anchoring can be fixing on what was and not accepting what is. And of course, investing is looking forward. It's what's going to be. So anyhow, that's the conflict that goes on. Everybody's human, but just remember, try to get back to your rational self in those situations, and then ask yourself the thesis. Why am I holding this and how much conviction do I have in it? So those are kind of the basics of investing that I thought I would share with you on a Friday. So with that, thank you so much for listening in. We'll hope maybe that the weekend is, maybe boring, right? Maybe we don't need billionaires duking it out uh, very publicly anymore, and we can kind of go get back to having a good weekend. So with that, we'll see you guys back Monday, where I'm going to have a happy hour and make some major announcements. So check back in then. Talk to you soon.